See, Makita are still making tools for the 18-volt LXT system. We are of course here to talk about this. World's ugliest battery sander. No extraneous packaging here, just sitting in the box. Nothing around it at all. So confident are they that the product's tough, I guess. It's probably not going to win any beauty contests. This is the BO380D sheet sander. It comes with a selection of sanding papers and they are made in Japan. But the tool itself, made in China. It's good that they give you a few of these in the box because there's so many different combinations of these now, different holes, different lengths, cutouts on the ends, all sorts of different things. So it's good that they give you those so you can go down to your local store and grab some without trying to work out which one you're meant to get, without having to take the sander with you. Just take one of those. You can of course make your own ones at home, which we'll talk about in a moment. So this is the third Makita LXT sander. The first being this random orbital. The second being this power file sander, and now a sheet sander. I think that's all there's been. Hopefully next up it's a belt sander. Come on Makita, 40-volt belt sander. This sander is clearly designed to be used as a two-handed sander, with one hand at the back here and your other hand on the knob in the front. Or I see in the literature and the advertising for this that there's a lot of times the person is putting their hand down on top of the battery for the pressure. So two-handed, although I'm sure you could just hold it on the top of the battery here once the battery's on and use it like that. If you're wanting to get up close to a wall or into a corner, then this front handle comes off just like that. It's got a really tight spring mechanism on here. It's almost too hard to even push down. So yeah, you can just pop it on and off. And that is really stiff. That isn't going to move accidentally. On the back we've got a dust bag. Hopefully it works better than this thing, which seemed to work good for like the first week or so, but once it got filled up with dust the first time and I emptied it, it has never worked again. I've seen a lot of people complain that the dust extraction on this is useless, and I would have to agree. I've blown it out, I've cleaned it, I've done so many different things, I've bought new bags, I've taped in certain places, and yeah, it just doesn't seem to really work. So hopefully this one is better. We'll test how much blows out of there shortly. But first, let's see if any of Makita's dust extraction fittings actually fit it. Yay! Doesn't go over that retention O-ring though. Maybe it's just meant to butt up against it, stop dust from getting out. Hopefully that O-ring works. If anything goes wrong with that, you can just easily replace it though, of course. Could even remove it and slide this up further probably. Like so. Get it right up there. How does it retain your paper? It's quite cool. Push this forward and then pull it round like so, and that releases this front piece here from the tool. When you pull it back, it pulls it in, and then you pull it round tight to lock it in place. Hopefully that is going to last the distance, because when it comes to these sort of sanders, this area here is always the bit that gives you the most trouble. So there you go, that's how that works. Same front and back. The backing pad has the corresponding holes for the sanding pads, of course, but they're also open on the side, so as you're sanding along, any sand that's on the surface will hopefully get sucked down from the sides and into your bag. These are consumable parts, and depending on how you use your tool, you will have to replace this from time to time. It's fairly easy to get hold of, and they just screw them on and off. I might show you that later depending on how things go. If you are familiar with the controls for this, then you will be familiar with the controls on this new sander. It's the same system. You tap it on the numbered side there to turn it on. It starts off in the highest, push it again, middle speed, push it again, lowest speed, push it again, back to the highest speed, and the 0 on the left there turns it off no matter what speed you're on. And when you start it up, it will always start on the highest speed. The sanding plate on this also spins in an orbital fashion like this one, but it of course doesn't spin around. But let's put a battery on and just take a look at that action if we can. We just have to, this is a good time to listen to the sound of this thing, but as you can hear, somebody else in the workshop is creating a racket. One moment. While someone else is making a racket, we'll look at the paper that came with it, just for something to do. 260s, 2 120s and 2 240s, that's pretty good. Often you get samples in some tools and they give you like one sheet or something, or one poxy little crummy thing. So that's a good starting amount. Doesn't look like they've stuck a lot of abrasive on there. They look like they're designed for sanding paint. You can of course purchase sanding sheets that are designed specifically for wood or for metal or for paint and various other things. Make sure you take note of that because the price can be quite different. The ones for wood are usually cheaper than the others. So why is it called a third sheet sander? Well, because 1, 2, 3. Each of these is 1/3 of a standard sheet of sandpaper. Right, let's see if I can show you the oscillation of the base here. It's probably going to be a bit hard to tell on camera and it's pretty quick, but I'll slow it down after I've filmed it. Unfortunately, it always starts on fast, so it's a little hard to tell. You can see that that's oscillating, circular fashion. Right, I want to go use this. What else do I need to tell you? Oh, have I mentioned the speeds? Top speed is 12,000 a minute, then 8,000, and then 4,000. Got a few things that need to be sanded, so let's go do it. I guess we better put on some sandpaper first. So we will push that, pop it out, push that, pop it out. Grab my 60 grit. Where's a 60? There we go. Put it over the top, line up the holes, nice and easy like, and then bend it. Then lift it slightly, shove it in the holder, clamp her in, and again on the other side. Too easy, too easy. Let's hope it stays there. Right, I'm going to give this board a bit of a sand up, tidy it up, make it look all flash and nice, but first I'm going to get the apprentice to do something to it. Now the apprentice has whipped me up a few things that need to be sanded, so I'm going to do that, but I wanted to do it a little bit different. I wanted to have a bit of scenery, and I said to the wife, where could I use a sander that would be interesting? And she said, how about on sand, like a beach? And I thought, oh yeah, sweet, I'll go back to the beach. And but it's spring here in New Zealand, and spring means rain and wind, and it's also a long weekend, so the chance of it being fine of course is reduced to next to nothing. So I've waited 4 days and it's just not looking like it's going to happen. So I guess I'll have to film it here, but at least that way we can control it a bit better, see how good the dust extraction is, and maybe I'll set up a camera up here as well and we can do a down view on what I'm about to sand. And I'll now also turn this into a bit of a comparison video. I have a painted piece of pine here. Both of these have a 6 amp hour battery that's just being charged. They both have 60 grit paper. I'm going to run them both for 30 seconds each on this board and see how much they remove. This tool is of course designed to remove a bit more than a tool like this, which is more of a finishing off tool. But let's see how they go. And I'm recording it all from above too. Hi! Well, that did quite well for just 30 seconds, and it probably would have done even better if I'd remembered to clamp the damn bit of wood down. So the orbital sander might get a bit of an unfair advantage. To make it an even test, I won't clamp it for this one either. That's surprising. That's not really how I thought this test would go. As you can see with the dust extraction, they both work pretty darn good. As a bit of a sort of control, I'm now just going to go over this quickly with this and see if it is really that much better, or whether there's some anomaly in the paint or the bit of wood at that point. I think that sign looks quite cool like that. But more importantly, I think that this was perhaps better than the 5-inch random orbital here. Have we got a bit of an upset on our hands? Did I say the model number of this earlier? The DBO380? It's the 180 as the 380. Where's the 280? Is that the name of the belt sander? Surely not. No, because that's a belt sander, so that's the DBS180. BO380, this is the BO180. I would have thought this would be the 181, but I guess this one will become the 181 when they do a remake of that. So O's for orbital. Anyway, hang on, getting off topic slightly. So yeah, I think that was actually better. Sandpaper still got plenty of life in that, of course. I would have thought this would have done better because it's much rougher looking paper as well, for us, even though they're both 60s. But this sander, if it's better than this one, I'll be quite chuffed, because you can't get up to edges very well with this. You certainly can't get into corners, obviously. I was wanting a detail sander from Makita, kind of like this little one, but maybe this one is a good mix between this and a small detail one. Pleasantly impressed thus far. May also be because this has had a bit of a thrashing, and yeah, may not be quite as good as once she was. Also, it feels a bit heavier. This is quite light. Just chuck them on the scales, eh? So this feels heavy, and it's a bit hard to tell, but this has got a different density, different center of gravity to this one. 2.2 kgs. Let's try this. 1.7, so it shows what I know. This one is actually half a kg heavier. It doesn't feel it. That's the weights on both of them with battery on and no dust bag. Yay, I've got some sun. Let's try and get this done before the rain comes. Gonna give this a quick sand up, see how she ends up looking. Hopefully it'll end up looking shit hot. And during this test I'll do a stall type test. I'll put a lot of pressure on it. You'll know when I do it. And we'll see if I can actually get it to cut out, or see what happens. Why did it stop there? Well, that cleans shit up real quick, man. As you can see, I've got the safety jandals and the work trackies on today. But wow, man, that looks so shit hot so fast. So if these are too expensive or just hard to come by where you live, you can easily make your own. You can make them out of roll paper like this, although this one is a little bit wide. Or more logically, you can make it out of sheet sandpaper, seeing as this is, as I said earlier, a third of a sheet. So let's make a little jig here. Grab an old scrap bit of wood, put your piece of paper on, cut and drill. So there's our template. Next we need some paper. Let's grab a sheet of this. So when you're using a sheet, as you can see, already the right length. If you're using a roll, then you'll need the length of the piece of wood, but because we are using a sheet, it's all good as it is. Now you can either cut that with a knife or stick it on the edge like that. It's hard doing this over the top of a camera. There we go, that is now our piece. What we'll do now is rip a few more up and then we'll drill some holes. Better check, that they're the right width. Look at that, bang on, obviously. Ooh, some 40 grit. Oh, it's a bit stiffer. This will be fun on the sander. A little bit harder to tear. Once you get it started though, it should be all good-ish. It's good enough, eh? And if it's a 1 or 2 mil either way, smaller, bigger, doesn't really matter. I now have a bunch of sanding sheets that need holes in them. For this, you're going to need another 10 mil 3/8 drill bit, but you don't really want to use a good one, because this is not going to be healthy to the tip of the drill bit. So if you've got a shitty old drill, just use that. It doesn't take much to get through. Next, take your piece of wood, clamp down your paper underneath it on top of another scrap piece of wood or your long suffering sawhorse, and drill 8 holes. So there you go, look at that. Next week I'll show you how to change the diff on a 1968 Ford Cortina. Look at that, just like I bought one. Pretty quick. 120 grip, also 120 grip. So there it is. This is the BO380D. That's the Japanese number. If you are in New Zealand or Australia, where it has been announced it will be out soon, it will be the DBO380, of course. It'll be that in the UK and most of the rest of the world as well. If you're in the States, when it is released, it will be the XOB03. XOB03. That's what it should be anyway, I think, if all the standard rules are followed. I don't think there's been an 02 yet, has there? So what do I think of it? Well, you know when you get a tool and it takes a mundane task, one of the shittiest tasks around. Sanding manually is, well, it's a horrible thing. It's not as bad as tie and rebar, but it's a shitty job and it's painful. It takes a long time and it's uncomfortable on your hands and everything. This makes sanding a breeze and almost pleasurable. It's fun to use, it's nice, I like it. Settle down, settle down. I've mostly been using it with dust extractor and it seems really good with that. Let's have a look in the bag here at just what it's collected. I haven't, like I say, been using the bag much, but does it collect stuff? Well, as you can see, it most certainly does. It works a lot better than the 5-inch circular random orbital sander. What happened to that? This sander I use all the time, and every time I go to empty this thing, there's hardly anything in it because most of it ends up just flying all over the damn place. But is it better at sanding than the new one? I think this one is better, but this one you can give a bit more welly to, you know, you can give it shit and it won't stall on you. You can push down on this pretty damn hard. I've never stalled it. Doesn't stall. It's a brushed tool. This is a brushless tool. This is 11,000 This is 12,000. Presumably the brushless motor gives it a bit better kick than this brushed one does. When they do a new version of this, I would hope that it would be better than this. But I've been pleasantly surprised at how good this thing is. I thought it was going to actually not be that good. I was almost ready for a disappointment, you know. I was thinking it wasn't actually going to remove that much. I figured it would be just a last finishing sander, just to do the fine stuff at the end. But it can take off material quicker than this can, and all the things I've been trying it on. Some things you really give this shit and you push down on it, you can remove stuff better than this. But also when you push on this in certain ways, sometimes that sort of stops and it doesn't sand all that well. I like it, I've enjoyed using it, and yeah, I'll definitely be keeping that one. So keep a lookout where you live. I'll put some links down below if I can find any. If this has just been released, this video, then there's probably not going to be any links there. But maybe a few weeks down the track, if you're watching this from the date that you see underneath this video, there might be some links to buy it or check it out. What am I talking about? I'll put a link to the Japanese one, of course. That's what this one is. This is the first Japanese model. So down in the description there'll be a link to this if you want to import it from Japan. If you're in the States, you might be waiting a while, so if you want to import it, down you go. If you're in New Zealand, well, it's been announced as of last night, so Makita are bringing it in. How long it'll be, who knows? Might be before the end of the year, I don't know. We tend to get them before everybody else at the moment, so that's good, especially if you're a YouTube reviewer. If there's anything else you want to know, just ask down below and I'll have a look at it and tell you in the next few days after this video comes out, you know, if I like you. Otherwise, I think this is going to be the tool I grab first over this one from now on. But I'm still looking forward to a cordless one of these. So thanks for watching, guys. Yes, it's worth it. Get one if you can, if you want one now, down below, and I'll see you on another Makita review real soon. And I've got some more head-to-head videos coming up, so make sure you subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, if I got scenery ready? Is there any scenery? Hopefully there'll be some scenery about now. But wait, stop the press. I had already edited this video, it was ready to upload, and then what do I see? Makita USA drops some news about some new Makita tools. Now that's quite unusual, but they haven't done that for a long time. Usually other parts of the world have been getting the information first. But Makita USA have just shown off and released images of some new Makita tools on both the LXT, CXT and XGT systems before the rest of the world. And one of those, as you can see from this picture, is a quarter sheet sander. That's right, maybe that is our 280. So in New Zealand, I'm guessing that one's going to be a DBO380, or in Japan, a BO380D. And in the States, it'll be an XOB03. I'm not sure which way around they're going to do these things, but don't hold your breath. You're looking at around April 2022 before you're going to get these things, so about 6 months from now. And as for the other Makita news released, I will be doing a video on that very soon. Back to our scheduled programming. Yeah, so the sign came out pretty damn cool, I reckon. That's an old piece of Quila that was due to go to the skip, be chopped up for firewood, something like that. It was pretty grubby looking, and now it's got a new lease of life. There's some tools and stuff branding. Review, up there, down there. Anyway, scenery.